What just happened inside the House of Commons has no parallel in modern memory. For the first time in 3 centuries of British democracy, a sitting Prime Minister was physically escorted out of Parliament by security. The entire event was captured on live television, streamed worldwide, and replayed millions of times within hours. Thursday, 2:30 p.m. The House of Commons was packed for the weekly Prime Minister's questions. Keir Starmer sat on the government benches trying to project confidence. The chamber buzzed with the usual mix of anticipation and tension. Cameras were rolling. Millions of viewers at home prepared for another routine clash of words. What no one knew was that the session would descend into chaos and mark a turning point in British political history. When the Speaker gave the floor to Nigel Farage, the chamber quieted. There were no theatrics, no shouting, just cold, methodical words. "Mr. Speaker," the Prime Minister vowed to stop the boats. Yet this year alone, 45,000 illegal crossings have occurred, deportation flights cancelled, hotel bills draining taxpayers at a cost of £8.2 billion, while ordinary families can't even afford housing. And now we learn from leaked documents that the government is secretly considering rejoining EU migration schemes. Each line landed like a hammer blow. The statistics, the cost, the betrayal of promises, all laid out in stark clarity. The chamber shifted uneasily. Farage pressed further. "The people voted for control of our borders. Instead, they have been given surrender disguised as compassion. When will the Prime Minister admit his immigration policies are a catastrophic failure?" The attack was sharp but parliamentary. Any leader could have countered, defended, or deflected. But Starmer did not. Instead, he erupted. Starmer launched from his seat, voice trembling with fury, fingers stabbing across the chamber. "How dare you? How dare you accuse this government of betrayal? You thrive on hatred, on fear, on division. You don't represent British values. You corrupt them." The chamber froze. This wasn't debate. This was rage. The Prime Minister's voice rose higher and higher, breaking with anger. "You have no right to speak for this country. You've spent your entire career tearing Britain apart." On the opposition benches, jaws dropped. Even his own MPs sat stunned. The Speaker, Sir Lin High, called for order. The Prime Minister must resume his seat immediately. But Starmer ignored him. He pushed forward, still shouting, face red, fists clenched. "I will not be lectured by a man who profits from division." The chamber descended into stunned silence. Millions watching live saw not a leader, but a man unraveling before their eyes. For the first time in living memory, the Speaker invoked a forgotten rule, Standing Order 43. Few MPs even remembered its existence, but it granted the Speaker absolute power to remove any member, even the Prime Minister, if they disrupted parliamentary proceedings. "The Prime Minister is directed to withdraw from this chamber immediately," High declared. Gasps filled the room. Cameras clicked frantically. The chamber fell still. Stared in disbelief. "You cannot be serious." "I am entirely serious," High replied. "Security, please escort the Prime Minister from the chamber." And there it was, history unfolding. 2 security officers moved forward. The Prime Minister of the United Kingdom stood frozen, trembling, hair disheveled, his authority evaporating. "This is outrageous," he muttered, but his voice lacked its earlier fury. His shoulders slumped. Slowly he walked toward the doors, flanked by guards. The leader of Britain reduced to silence, leaving the Commons in disgrace. As he reached the exit, Farage's voice cut through the chamber with brutal calm. "This is what happens when leaders cannot defend failure. They lash out. They break down. But the people of Britain deserve stability, not tantrums." The contrast was devastating. One man raging uncontrollably, the other standing composed, controlled, and devastatingly effective. Within minutes, the footage was everywhere. Clips flooded Twitter, TikTok, Facebook. Hashtags like #PMThroneOut and #StarmerMeltdown trended globally. Memes multiplied. Starmer walking out under guard became an instant cultural reference. International networks interrupted programming to air the footage. Anchors shook their heads in disbelief. Britain, the home of parliamentary tradition, had just witnessed its Prime Minister dragged from the Commons like an unruly backbencher. The fallout was immediate. Flash polls showed Starmer's approval plunging by 20 points in 24 hours. Focus groups described him with words like unstable, unfit, and embarrassing. In Labour's traditional heartlands, towns across northern England, the anger was palpable. On local radio, lifelong Labour supporters vented fury. "He's supposed to be our leader," one caller from Liverpool said. "If he can't control himself in Parliament, how can he control the country? I've voted Labour all my life, but I'm done." Meanwhile, Reform UK capitalised. Their website crashed from a flood of new membership applications. Donations poured in at record speed. That evening, Farage held a press conference outside Parliament. His words were devastatingly simple. What Britain saw today was not leadership. It was the collapse of authority, credibility, and self-control. The Prime Minister could have defended his policies with facts. Instead, he chose rage. This nation faces enormous challenges: immigration, economic strain, social unrest. These demand calm leadership, not chaos. The clip went viral, replayed across every platform. Within 48 hours, it had been viewed more than 60 million times worldwide. Foreign capitals reacted with alarm. In Paris, Macron's office quietly expressed concerns about Britain's political stability. In Berlin, Olaf Scholz remarked that reliable leadership is crucial for partnerships. Even in Washington, networks ran the footage for days. Commentators were stunned at Britain's humiliation. Within the Commonwealth, reactions were particularly harsh. When asked if he had confidence in UK leadership, Australia's Prime Minister paused, then dodged the question, a silence louder than words. Back home, Labour descended into chaos. Emergency meetings, WhatsApp groups buzzing, panic spreading across the party. Deputy Prime Minister Angela Ray, furious, reportedly told allies that Starmer had humiliated the party and damaged the country's reputation. Constitutional scholars raised serious questions. Could a Prime Minister formally ejected from the Commons still govern effectively? Did Parliament's authority now overshadow executive power in new ways? For 72 hours, Starmer vanished. No press conferences, no interviews. Silence from number 10. In politics, silence is deadly. Reform UK filled the vacuum with devastating ads, contrasting Farage's composure with Starmer's meltdown. Millions watched. Labour lost control of the narrative completely. A week later, polls revealed the scale of the disaster. Labour collapsed to 26%, their lowest since 2019. Reform UK surged to 25%, within striking distance of overtaking Labour as the official opposition. Conservatives held steady at 32%. For the first time ever, Nigel Farage ranked above Starmer in Best Prime Minister polls. The political map was being redrawn in real time. In northern Labour strongholds, Reform overtook Labour in several constituencies. Long-standing red seats turned volatile overnight. Even Labour-supporting papers turned against him. The Guardian described it as a moment of madness threatening everything Labour stands for. The moment became a cultural phenomenon. Comedians built routines around it. Memes saturated the internet. "Thrown out of Parliament" became a phrase on everyone's lips. But beneath the humour, trust in institutions hit new lows. Only 21% of Britons expressed confidence in politics, the lowest figure recorded. Reform seized the momentum. Farage launched a nationwide tour, playing the footage at rallies before asking, "Is this the leadership you voted for? The stability you were promised?" Crowds thundered back, "No." Behind closed doors, Labour MPs plotted openly. Senior members drafted letters of no confidence. Shadow ministers resigned. Membership plummeted. Councillors defected. For many, the breaking point wasn't the meltdown itself, but the silence that followed. Starmer's refusal to face the public made him appear weak, indecisive, already defeated. When he finally addressed the nation, the words fell flat. His credibility was gone. Then came the legal twist. Scholars discovered Standing Order 43 had never been tested in the Supreme Court. Could the Speaker really eject a Prime Minister? Did Parliament hold ultimate authority over the executive? The case reached the courts. For the first time in modern history, judges weighed whether Parliament outranked government. If the court sided with the Speaker, it would cement parliamentary supremacy in unprecedented ways. If not, it would cast doubt on Starmer's legitimacy after public humiliation. Either way, the balance of British democracy was about to shift. The numbers tell the story. Labour shattered, Conservatives steady, Reform ascendant, Starmer humiliated. This wasn't just a meltdown. It was a political earthquake. A single outburst broadcast live reshaped parties, triggered rebellion, and sent shock waves across the globe. The Prime Minister's authority is gone. The Labour Party is imploding. Reform UK is surging, and Britain stands on the brink of constitutional change not seen in centuries. The old order is collapsing. A new one is forming. So what happens next? Does Labour remove Starmer? Does Farage become leader of the opposition? Does the Supreme Court redefine the limits of executive power? One thing is certain, Britain will never look the same again. That if this breakdown helped you understand the earthquake shaking UK politics right now, hit like, and share because the next twist in this story is already on its way.